Indian middle class is one hospital bill away from poverty. But in this video, we have someone who has proved it wrong with smart financial planning.
I'm Naveen Fernandes. I was diagnosed with cancer around the 11th of April last year. My wife Sylvia, we have a daughter. We have two girls who we are fostering. Initial chemo and so on was partly handled by the insurance. It was insufficient and we had to spend a little from our pockets. An important aspect of buying insurance is not to trust the seller. I have a whole lot of accounts with the EPF, which I've tried to pull out. There was absolutely no response, and it's only when the commissioner of PF Bombay called up and I got 16.5 lakhs.
Let's start with, your background, a little bit about where you were born and how did you guys meet?
I was born in Doha. My parents married there. And when I was about a year old, mom came back to India because dad was transferred from Qatar to Oman and families were not allowed then. When I was about 9, mom moved to Oman and joined dad. I studied in Mangalore and Bangalore.
Okay.
And did my BCom at St. Aloysius College in Bangalore, which has recently become a university. Sylvia's sister and brother-in-law were my clients and they introduced us. So ours is an arranged marriage.
Great. Naveen, let's talk a little bit about your career. You've been in finance all throughout. And I think in 2016-17 is the time when you became financially free. You sort of officially retired. Tell us more on, what was your corpus back then that, helped you take that decision? And what was your investment planning, investment strategy that, sort of took you to this point?
Early career was equity. There were very few other options. In fact, fixed income, that is the bonds, were most unpopular. So equities made money. Equities were also speculative. And we were in a very dicey move of just lack of study, more of gambling. But subsequently, a frugal family background, I guess, came to the fore. And we started setting money aside. And so built up gradually. As the daughter grew and then we settled in Bangalore, we bought a 1-bedroom apartment with a loan.
Nice. And what instruments were you investing back then?
Initially equity. And at some stage, I realized that I was risking everything on equity. My income came because of the equity markets. My investments were in equity. And if the markets turned bad, I would be losing on both ends.
Yeah.
And that's when early 2000, I did a 3-day program, which was sponsored by a mutual fund on the debt markets. Shashikant was a brilliant teacher who taught me about the bond markets. And that's when I started diversifying and investing in debt mutual funds.
Okay.
And I found that it was pretty good. It was much later that I started investing in direct bonds.
Okay, got it. So around 2000s, you were introduced to debt. Before that, you were in equity. And around 15-16 years later, you had a substantial corpus to sort of give up your corporate boots. What was your portfolio back then and how was it structured and how has it grown over the years?
We had a little over a crore, I would say about 1.1 in bonds.
Okay.
And about 25 lakhs in equities. Since then, plowback of some of the passive earnings, appreciation in some cases, and fresh money added to it. And now it's about 2.2, including some of the PF money that I got back in bonds. And it's about 45 lakhs and a bit in equity.
Got it. So overall, a corpus of around 2.6 CR is what, helps drive the passive income, monthly passive income. So how is
passive income? I depend only on the bonds. So that's
Okay.
2.2.
2.2? Okay. Okay. And what did you pursue post that, right? How did life beyond financial freedom look like?
I was into teaching, so I was enjoying learning new things, interacting with young people, and I had a lot more joy in my life.
He did his post graduation.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Yeah. Oh, wow. Tell
yeah,
us more on that. What made you go back to study after all these years?
when I was about 49 or 50, I decided to do one MA in economics simply to see whether my practice of economics at work was also what they taught in academics.
Okay.
Subsequently, I did my MA in English just for the joy of doing something in literature. I love the language.
Wow.
And followed it up with another MA in economics from a different university.
No, I think that's great. I think that constant drive to learn and just I think that's commendable. Naveen, I think I'll address the elephant in the room, which is around you fighting cancer as we are speaking today. Um, so I think it's not just physical, but it's also mental and financial ordeal that comes along with it, and want to understand a lot of things around it, around finances, around you and your family handling it. First, I would like to start with, like, when did you get diagnosed with cancer?
I was diagnosed with cancer around the 11th of April last year. It was a tumor in my urinary bladder and another in the right ureter. Went through treatment, chemo, radiation, and found that while the initial tumors had shrunk, the cancer had spread to the lungs, and that makes it stage 4B, which is considered irreversible. Then we've done a lot of wasteful treatment on immunotherapy. So we went through a lot of pain, a lot of stress, and expense.
Hmm. Got it. First of all, thank you so much for sharing and bringing this out there. I think this is something we never want to even think about it, right? But ever since the treatment, I assume the expenses would have increased. So how did you plan for that? Was it covered by insurance? Did it make a big dent in your investment corpus? Could you talk more about that?
In 2017, I decided to retire.
Hmm.
I showed her the finances. We had, like I said, 1.3 crores plus 30 lakhs that we'd set aside for the daughter's postgrad.
Okay.
That was very clearly sufficient at the time because I was going to earn something from the teaching. I also do some ghostwriting, so I earn something from that. And with 1.3, we decided that our home would run
Okay.
comfortably. And that's when I found that the budgeting was fine. Now, when it came to the cancer, there was no serious additional expenditure.
Okay.
The initial chemo and so on was partly handled by the insurance.
Okay.
I didn't have enough insurance. I took 5 lakhs, and I think that's grossly insufficient. We had 5 each,
Okay.
separate policies. I did not have any problem claiming on that, but it was insufficient, and we had to spend a little from our pockets, which I think is still fine. Later, it turned out to be something like an average over the last 1.5 years of about 30,000 rupees a month.
Additional medical expenses.
Additional medical expenses, which is very comfortably covered in our budget.
Okay. Oh, thanks so much for sharing. I mean, particularly in insurance, wanted to ask, right? I feel like there are a lot of hidden TNCs which you realize at the time of claims in your journey, and because you've been using insurance extensively for the last 1.5 years. Is there something you realized and you would tell our audience to be wary of when they are buying their insurance?
Beyond using insurance, I have taught insurance as a subject at college.
Okay.
I have also been an insurance advisor for the last 3 years or so.
Okay.
An important aspect of buying insurance is not to trust the seller. I advise people to ask questions. So in life, for example, I would sell only a term insurance plan. And in recent years, we've had guaranteed income plans where the guaranteed income is mentioned. In medical insurance, general insurance actually, there is a record with the IRDA of the claim settlement. And I'm very fussy about that.
Got it. So claim settlement is, one important ratio that, anyone who is buying
I
should.
think it is the most important.
Got it. Understood. And Naveen, you were speaking about the coverage as well. You felt that, 5 lakhs each was a lower coverage. Like, what is your recommended advice for how much should ideal
think
coverage
that
be?
10 to 25 is fair. The other thing is we have to realize that insurance is a cost.
Yeah.
Medical insurance, premium paid, you get nothing back. It's your family who gets something back when you die. And I don't believe that anyone should have life insurance beyond the age of 60 or 65. By that, you should have met your financial goals.
And did EPF help in this journey?
No. I have a whole lot of accounts, dormant accounts with the EPF. And one large account was 19.78 lakhs, which I've tried to pull out since 2019 every year for 6 years. And supposed to be a nice, comfortable, simple online process. I put in my claims online and there was nothing. It's only when the Mint article was published. And this was because the PMO read this. The commissioner of PF Bombay called up and asked that my documents be submitted in 30 minutes. HR of my former employer acted at all, and I got 16.5 lakhs.
And in terms of, sort of, it's been like 7 years that you have been not actively working, right? How are your expenses managed? Like how much is the income and what percentage is the expenses?
We don't really spend more or less than we were earlier. I still have a car that's almost 15 years old. It takes me where I want to go. I have a scooter that's 10 years old. So we are not defined by the things we have. And I hope we never will. So our normal household expenses would be around 35,000. We have our own house. So there is no EMI, but we have to pay our water and electricity bill and tax. We do that.
Cool. Got it, Naveen. I think next, in terms of financial planning, I would want to ask, and given that you are in this phase, about the will. Have you thought about it, and how are you planning that?
I believe a person should prepare a will when they have assets to give away. My first will was prepared when I was 44, and that's 18 years ago. About 2 years ago, we updated it. You do not need a lawyer to prepare a will.
Oh, okay. How is it?
A will can be prepared on a plain piece of paper. The important thing is that you should be of sound mind. If possible, note your assets, decide who those assets go to, and have 2 witnesses.
Okay.
It's good to have an executor as well. My will says everything I have goes to her. But if we die together, in that case, everything to daughter. And if it's all 3 of us who conk off together, everything goes to a charity that is mentioned in the will.
Got it. So, Naveen, I think a lot of, sharing finances with your partner, right? Right now, Sylvia is aware of all the investments. Is it something that's recent, or is it something that's been all throughout in your financial?
We've always had that. The reasons are several. One is I'm lazy. I'm poor at keeping accounts. She is more methodical, and so she keeps a good book. Secondly, the conscious decision of her keeping the accounts mattered because it is necessary for family members to know what's happening with the finances. If one of the partners is missing, the other partner and the rest of the family could actually suffer a lot for not knowing where the money is.
I think, Naveen, on that note, I would want to sort of wrap and talk about if there is one advice that you would want to give from both health and wealth perspective to all the 30, mid 30s people who are having families, what would that be?
I used to be very healthy, do my jogging and the like, till a stage when I became a workaholic. I think sometime in 2006, my cholesterol, sugar, uric acid were all sky high. And then I decided to shape up again. I got an excellent, very practical physician with a good sense of humor who prodded me in the right direction. And then I started running half marathons, cycling. All that did not spare me the cancer. So I guess when the situation changes, you change with it. On the wealth part, I really would believe that you don't trust anyone. I would really love customers who are putting their money so that they can ask the right questions and, if possible, embarrassing questions.
Fair.
And that, I think, would contribute a lot towards building up your wealth. The money you do not lose is actually money you earn.
Yeah.
And then be very clear about your goals and how to get there.
Yeah.
It really does matter because markets and economies fluctuate. You cannot run a yo-yo with your life, and learn from experts.
Thank you for sharing so much openly about physical, mental, and financial aspects of this. And I think thank you so much for sharing that outlook for us.
Thank you. If this means something positive for someone, improves their life, I think this has been a good chat. Finally, as we go to the end, an old song of Frank Sinatra, regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention.
Great. That's perfect note to end this podcast. Thank you so much.